Hey, what's going on, everybody? Will Hamilton here, and we're going to talk about maybe the sneakiest weapon on the men's tour and how you can apply the concept behind this same sneaky weapon to your game. Now, this sneaky weapon is possessed by Novak Djokovic. He has used it with great success against Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal. And I want to talk about this weapon through the lens of FYB's concept of DNO, which stands for defense neutral offense. I'm going to sort of gloss over the concept right now, but basically what this concept means is during a point you can be in one of three states. You can be on defense in a neutral rally or on offense. Always want to be transitioning up the spectrum to offense and never reverse offense down to defense. That is bad. Now, the reason this concept is sneaky is because it actually takes advantage of a situation where your opponent is trying to transition up to offense. So in other words, your opponent's here on neutral and is going to go through their shot sequence or whatever pattern they like to use to get up to offense. So they think they're transitioning up to offense, but you actually do something to put them on defense. So in the case of, let's say, Novak versus Rafa, Rafa thinks that he's going up to offense. He's like, okay, I got the sequence or my pattern here all lined up. I'm about to go up to offense, and then it actually ends up putting him on defense because Novak, uses that sneaky quote unquote weapon to kind of flip the situation, turn the tables on Rafa. So let's talk about exactly how this works. And again, the same weapon is used both against Rafa and Roger, used a little bit differently. Let's talk about Roger first. And what Roger likes to do is get into backhand-to-backhand exchanges with righties. That's his pattern he uses to get up to offense. Quick note, circle is a player, stick is the side they're hitting on. These are not tennis rackets player icons, so this is a backhand for a righty up here, backhand for a righty down there. Icons sometimes get confusing, so I want to clarify. So Roger gets into backhand-to-backhand exchanges like this. And what he likes to do is wait for an opportunity to run around and hit either an inside-out or an inside-in forehand. So inside-out would be over here, inside-in would be here. And in the case of the inside-out forehand, what Roger does is he says, okay, I'm going to rip the ball over here. This is now my weapon going into the backhand, which tends to be the weaker side for my opponents. So this is going to elicit a weak reply somewhere here, if not, just an outright error. If the ball comes back, it's probably going to be here. I'm already positioned to take a forehand. Now I'm in the driver's seat inside the baseline. I'm going to win this point. So what Novak does, and the sneaky weapon he's got, is the two-handed backhand. Now you might be saying to yourself, well, Will, I know that Novak has a great two-handed backhand. How is it sneaky? Well, the reason it is sneaky is because Roger, Rafa, anybody else, again, they think that they're transitioning up to offense, but Novak can actually use it to put them on defense. And specifically, what's important to understand with Roger, and then we'll see Rafa too, is that both Roger, Rafa, and many other players, particularly in the case of the inside-out forehand here, expose themselves a little bit to go on offense. So let me repeat that. They expose themselves. They kind of open up a vulnerability when they go on offense. Typically, they don't have to worry about it. So what exactly is this vulnerability? Well, let's first of all draw in, Novak will go over here with the two-handed backhand, pop that down the line. If it's not an outright winner, Roger is running to get to it. He's going to have a tough time getting there. Now, when Roger and Novak are going backhand to backhand, Novak could obviously go up the line and, just the same. And it might actually be a little bit easier because Roger doesn't have quite as much pace on the ball with that backhand. But the reason this is a little bit, again, back to the sneaky weapon and how exactly is Roger exposing himself. When Roger hits a backhand, he's going to be in pretty good position. He'll be somewhere there. So that's not the farthest trip to get to the down-the-line ball. But when Roger runs around to hit a forehand, he's now over here. That's much further. So he's really exposed himself there from a court positioning standpoint. That's what's key. Roger says, I'm going to go on offense, but to do that, to use this particular pattern, got to expose court positioning a little bit. But most of the time that doesn't matter because his forehand's so money that he's going to overwhelm his opponent's backhand in this case. So Roger's positioning not as good here. He's also ripping the ball, so the ball is going to get over here much faster. Novak will be able to use his pace to redirect it up the line. So Roger's also dropped the amount of time he has to recover back to the middle, and in this case, get to that ball. So it's kind of the double whammy in this sense because the positioning's worse and he's giving himself less time. So that is how Novak is kind of able to use the sneaky weapon in this instance to do some damage against Roger. Now, important to note that Roger is aware of this and made some adjustments in the French Open that allowed him to beat Novak there. When Roger played Novak at the Aussie Open and then Indian Wells, he was really looking for kind of any opportunity to attack, right? So, okay, here's a backhand that I can kind of run around. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then because it was sort of, it was an opportunity, but maybe somewhat of a marginal opportunity, he wasn't able to hit the best shot, so Novak really had an opportunity to hurt him. So at the French Open, Roger was much more patient with this backhand here and really picked high-quality opportunities to run around, hit forehands, so that it really made Novak's life hard redirecting the ball here. Roger hit such quality forehands that Novak really couldn't pull this off as well as he had been able to in their previous meetings. So with that in mind, let's talk about how this works with Rafael Nadal, because it's a little bit different. Same concept underpins it, but the exchange that is set up is slightly different. So with Rafa and Novak, what you'll get a lot is a down the line, actually we'll go with the black marker, down the line backhand to backhand exchange. Rafa has a lefty, this is his backhand, this is his forehand. So you get this exchange down the line like this, and what Rafa likes to do against righties when he's in the exchange like this is he'll run around here to hit a forehand. So he'll either pop this thing inside out or he'll bring it back down the line. And just like with Roger, what Rafa likes to do is hit a really quality forehand over here that's going to overwhelm the backhand and then elicit a shot somewhere in here, a weak shot that Rafa can step in and just punish. Well, of course, Novak with that money two-handed backhand has a, I wouldn't say easy time, but is certainly proficient at taking these and ripping them over there into the open court, hitting a quality ball. Even though he's hitting it at Rafa's forehand, Rafa's on the run, he's really going to struggle with that, lose a lot of those points. Now, what you can see here is that going from, Novak could certainly just take a backhand and rip it over there, which he does do. But when Rafa's hitting a backhand here, his positioning is decent, right? He's in position to get to that ball. So Novak has to hit, it has to really get a hold of it to rip it over there. But when Rafa runs around it now to hit that inside-in forehand in this instance, his positioning, just like Federer, is much worse. And he's ripping, he's hitting it harder. He's taking away his time as well. So again, it's that double whammy of court positioning and less time. He has way more court to cover. So in this instance with the down the line, this is actually an easier shot for Novak going cross-court into a big open space versus the cross-court ball where Novak has to take it down the line. So this is actually easier for Novak to take advantage of. But we've seen in both instances, and what's key for everybody watching this is that you want to look at your opponent and see what, how are they transitioning to offense, and when they do that, are they exposing themselves? And again, Roger and Rafa, they have both exposed themselves from a court positioning standpoint, and Novak has been able to take advantage of that, and really, that's one of the big reasons behind why he's beaten these two guys most of the last couple times they have played. So to round out this video, again, the sneaky weapon, opponent thinks they're going up to offense, they actually end up exposing themselves, and Novak in this instance is able to use that to put them on defense. So look at your opponent the next time you play a match. when they try and, see if you can come up with a sneaky weapon of your own, when your opponent thinks they're going up to offense, they expose themselves, you use that to actually put them back on defense. And, it's worth noting that this can be difficult. I mean, Novak is basically, I wouldn't say he's the only guy on tour that can do this, but his backhand is so good that it really allows him to do it more regularly than the other pros on tour. So this is by no means, an easy thing to pull off, but it's worth having in the back of your mind, because most likely you will get opportunities to use this concept against your opponents. So with that in mind, thank you for watching this video. If you have in the past been able to use this concept to attack your opponents, please post in the comments below. Let me know, let everybody else know, so that you can help them with their games. So with that in mind, thank you again for watching this video. I'm going to sign off, and I will see you guys in the next video.